For 25 years, we have been Indiana's business news leader. This is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gerry Dick. Presented by Elevate Ventures and Indiana University.
The South Bend-Elkhart region clicking on all cylinders and staying true to its manufacturing roots. Back in the day, it was Studebakers rolling off the line. Then came RVs, the region growing into the RV capital of the world. And now, the next generation of the four-wheel economy rolling into the region, a $3.5 billion EV plant on the way.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gerry Dick, coming to you this week from Indiana's fourth largest city, South Bend. I'm actually standing in the middle of one of numerous quality of life attractions that have been added here in recent years, Howard Park, an attraction for families and residents young and old here in St. Joseph County. Well, you know, this week IBJ Media and Inside Indiana Business, along with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, brought our Engage Indiana series to the South Bend-Elkhart region. It attracted more than 300 business, community, and political leaders to the Century Center for a conversation on issues shaping the regional economy. Outgoing Indiana Secretary of Commerce Brad Chambers, the keynote speaker, and one of his final official acts before leaving office. Now, the South Bend-Elkhart region is made up of 3 counties, St. Joe, Elkhart, and Marshall, a manufacturing hotbed, perhaps best known as the RV capital of the world. It is estimated that more than 80% of all RVs sold in the United States are manufactured here. And this region is in the midst of a surge in advanced manufacturing investment. The biggest, by far, General Motors and Samsung SDI will begin moving dirt very soon in nearby New Carlisle for a $3.5 billion electric vehicle battery plant with plans for 1,700 jobs. It's the region's biggest economic development project ever.
I don't think people have ever been as excited about a project as this one. To have one of the largest companies in the country picking our area for an emerging industry. We've been really at the forefront of automotive going back 150 plus years and stuff. So for us to be right in the middle of the evolution of the next chapter of automotive has us really excited. We have an area out there that has about 20,000 acres available. Not all of it will be developed, but we have really long planned for major industrial space out in that area. And we have 2 things in particular that drive development out there: water and electric. And those are the concentration of both that not every part of the country has. So when people are looking at Indiana, there's really a couple key sites in Indiana. We think we have one of those 3 that moves us to the top of the radar in each one, and that infrastructure that we've put in place, in some cases 40 plus years ago, will now start to see the fruits of that labor.
Not far from the GM site, Texas-based Alcogen is expanding its silicon battery operations, adding 75 jobs. And AM General this year landed a 10-year, $8 billion contract from the U.S. Army to produce armored trucks, adding several hundred jobs and pushing employment in the region to more than 1,000. The University of Notre Dame continues to be a big driver of tourism and economic activity in the region. And increasingly, the Golden Dome is serving as a beacon for innovation and entrepreneurs. Notre Dame's Idea Center launched 28 startup companies last year. Additionally, the university's active startups raised more than $86 million in investment funding, a nearly 60% increase over the previous year. Since its founding in 2017, the Idea Center has launched nearly 150 startups. Well, that focus on innovation and new economy investment is also reflected in the Labs for Industry Futures and Transformation, or LIFT network, which is being fueled by a 5-year, more than $42 million grant from Lilly Endowment. The LIFT initiative connecting Notre Dame to key stakeholders in the region in an effort to advance the region in next-generation manufacturing, entrepreneurship, applied analytics and technology, resources to educate, train, and retrain the region's talent base, a critical issue here. A Brookings Institution report identified the South Bend-Elkhart region as the 3rd most vulnerable workforce in the nation to automation.
We're sitting in really the highest concentration of manufacturing jobs in the nation. Unfortunately, we lag the nation when it comes to per capita income, per capita GDP. We don't have the best productivity. So we're trying to deploy automation along with digital analytics, digital maturity. And in addition to that, as I said earlier, grow and attract and retain talent. So our job here isn't trying to displace workers. Absolutely, that is not our goal. Our goal is really to take the people we have, upskill them, make them more productive, increase company profitability, and add to the resiliency of the region.
Well, certainly another major issue, housing or lack of housing in communities large and small throughout the state of Indiana. It's an issue that has a direct impact on talent attraction and retention. But here in the South Bend region, there's a bit of a mini housing boom. It's estimated there are some 2,400 new housing options, either recently completed, under construction, or planned. Hundreds of new units in and around Notre Dame and in downtown South Bend as well. Among them, a project across from Four Winds Field, led by Devereaux Peters, a former Notre Dame hoop star and WNBA player who is investing back in the city of South Bend.
We want to be able to have a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources. We're right next to Four Winds Field. We're right next to a public library. We're right next to a lot of restaurants. We're right next to transportation. Just overall, providing a space that allows the community and the people in it to grow and really get to a point where maybe they get to a market rate building or buy a house or do something greater than what we're providing in our projects.
There is also housing activity throughout the region. Phase 2 of the mill at Ironworks Plaza in Mishawaka, adding about 215 units on top of the 230 already there. More than 300 housing units are coming online in downtown Elkhart as well. There are additional projects sprouting up in Goshen and Plymouth. South Bend, synonymous with the University of Notre Dame, but the city and university not always on the same page. See how that has changed in a big way and what it means for growth and investment.
Gerry, congratulations on 25 years of taking listeners and readers and viewers inside Indiana business. You have pioneered a whole new model on celebrating what's happening here in Indiana. The entrepreneurs, the companies, the innovations, the products. Gerry, you have left and continue to leave an indelible mark on Indiana's economy. And for that, I'm grateful. Grateful to call you a friend, grateful to call you a fellow Hoosier. And I look forward to seeing what's next from Gerry Dick in Inside Indiana Business.
Outside of Notre Dame football, the next biggest sporting attraction here in South Bend is on the ice. And a well-known hockey hotspot in the city is in for a major transformation. A $12 million renovation plan in the works at the Icebox skating rink. It calls for adding a new sheet of ice at the arena, which has been hosting hockey events since 1974.
Brimming with potential is my take on this region. And it's you've got dynamic leaders, dynamic entrepreneurs, dynamic university, great geographic location, and a focus on, lifting people up. I mean, this is a huge team effort up here. People coming together and shooting for higher. And so you're starting to see that momentum really pay dividends.
That's outgoing Indiana Secretary of Commerce Brad Chambers at this week's Engage South Bend-Elkhart event. It attracted several hundred business, community, and academic leaders to the Century Center in downtown South Bend. The event was the 5th of 7 Engage Indiana events we are holding this year around the state. It included a fireside chat featuring Chambers and IBJ Media CEO Nate Feldman, and a panel discussion that I moderated, focusing on issues driving the regional economy. The massive GM-Samsung investment fueling a sense of partnership and urgency.
Well, I'm really excited because I think this is a region that's ripe for opportunity to really collaborate with state government. I believe in small government, but I also believe that there are pieces of the solution that really only government can solve. And I think we have some incredible leaders here in this region that are ready to partner with the state and the historic investments that have happened during this previous legislative session.
We know we got to think about workforce. We got to think about the infrastructure that we know will come with that. Housing, obviously, number one, not unique to our region. Across the state, the nation, they're just having some of those similar challenges too. So But I think we're equipped. We've been in good position. We're really resilient here in this region. So I think we're going to be great.
Well, one of the important and developing stories here in northern Indiana has been Notre Dame's engagement, their activity in economic development and quality of life projects. Once disconnected, Notre Dame is engaging in a big way. A great example, Eddy Street Commons, just south of campus on land owned by Notre Dame. It has developed into a very popular mixed-use development just south of campus, driving economic activity and also helping to further connect Notre Dame to the city of South Bend. The Eddy Street corridor has indeed become a hotspot for investment, and for more on that, Carly Lanik, our Inside Indiana business reporter here in South Bend, joins us. And Carly, you live here and you see what's happening here, lots of activity.
That's right, it's really exploded here in the last several years. Here where we're standing at Eddy Street Commons and just along the way at State Road 23. In just a couple of weeks, students will be back in town and we'll be seeing all that game day activity coming through. Why is it growing right now? It's all about location, location, location. Game day, the Notre Dame band getting Irish fans pumped up on the Eddy Street corridor. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from campus, a South Bend hotspot that continues to grow. More high-end housing is on the way. Holiday Development just announced plans to build a new $31.5 million apartment complex here. Another apartment condo project set to open soon, the Irish Quarter. Three-Leaf Development VP Joseph Stanton on what it takes to make Eddy Street so attractive.
I think that the big thing for us, that what attracted us to developing this project is the location. So, location in real estate is obviously everything. So, given that we're so close, just a 9-iron, so to speak, from campus, I think the location is kind of number one.
This area took a dramatic turn when the initial phases of the $300 million Eddy Street Commons project opened a few years ago. It features 2 hotels, more than 700 residential units, and shops and restaurants. It's a connection that Notre Dame and the city of South Bend have never had, and it's paying off in a big way.
The city as a whole will see the most investment in 2023 that it's ever seen in its history. We're looking at close to $1 billion in investment. From the early planning stages, it looks like 2024 will be very similar.
The University of Notre Dame and the city of South Bend locking arms, moving to the same beat, a union that is driving big bucks into northern Indiana's bottom line. Sideline Flats, the 87, and Five Corners are just a few of the other projects coming this way.
How about affordability? Is that an issue here in the Eddy Street area?
Sure. So developers really have a key market in mind. We're talking Notre Dame alumni, faculty, and even some students. We're seeing prices range from $900 to $2,400 for some apartments in the area, and condos going for even more big bucks. We're talking in the millions. But South Bend city leaders say these are not the only projects in town. They are working on some low-income projects near the downtown area.
Yeah, lots changing here to be sure. In the Eddy Street corridor area. Carly, thanks for keeping us covered here in the South Bend area.
3, 2, 1.
Also, major developments happening here in South Bend at Beacon Health. We'll tell you what's fueling a multi-million-dollar expansion. Now it's changing healthcare delivery in the region and also South Bend skyline. And Indianapolis preparing to host thousands of entrepreneurs and innovators from across the country. One of the keynote speakers, Peyton Manning. Learn more about Elevate Ventures Rally event in this week's IBJ. Well, a major project that community leaders here say will transform the city's skyline as well as healthcare delivery is growing in stature. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has more on that story. Kylie.
Thank you, Gary. Here in Indianapolis, IU Health is investing billions of dollars to build a new medical campus downtown. But it's not the only major healthcare system in Indiana breathing new life into a city's downtown. In South Bend, crews have been laying the groundwork for a new 10-story patient tower at Memorial Hospital. It will start to rise above the downtown skyline early next year, and when complete, add more than 50 patient beds. The $232 million project is the largest single investment in the history of Beacon Health System. The South Bend Regional Chamber puts an even bigger number on its overall impact, about $400 million in increased economic activity. The expansion fits hand in hand with other projects to revitalize the downtown, but Memorial Hospital President Larry Tracy says it's also critical to the county as a whole, especially with the GM Samsung battery plant on the horizon.
You're talking about adding more population, which is going to require more healthcare services to be delivered in this region. And so this project actually fits very nicely with that overall development that's happening. And of course, our friends just to the north of the Memorial campus at Notre Dame seem to be always growing in very positive and productive ways. And so really it sort of all sort of melds together in what we see as a very bright future for the South Bend region.
2 city blocks near the hospital will also be getting a makeover, paid for with $11 million from a READY grant for the South Bend-Elkhart region. Plans call for a hotel, new housing, and office and retail space. Gary, back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. In our next Business and Beyond podcast, our first two-time guest, longtime Central Indiana business leader and broadcast pioneer Jeff Smulyan. His Indianapolis-based Emmis Communications has undergone big changes since we last spoke with him in March of 2021, specifically a sale. Smulyan sold off his radio and TV assets and Indianapolis Monthly magazine. His business interests now shifting to Emmis Corporation, a company he says is focused on growth companies, like his investment in an Israeli company producing ads for the video gaming market. And he's added the title of author to his resume.
It's been a very, very gratifying experience. I think the thing that's most gratifying is the people who've read it. I get calls from everywhere, people I know, people I don't know, who just said, love the book, and it made me laugh out loud a lot of times. So I'm proud of it.
Much more with Indianapolis entrepreneur Jeff Smulyan on the next Business and Beyond podcast. Well, coming up next, the things you may not know about South Bend, from its economic roots in wagons, plows, and sewing machines to today's evolving innovation-based economy.
In other business news around the South Bend region, uncertainty on when a massive Amazon warehouse along the Indiana Toll Road might open. That Amazon facility and one near the Elkhart Municipal Airport were supposed to create more than 1,000 jobs.
Here's what's making news around Indiana, brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors, Indiana's 21,000 realtors, the neighbors you know, the experts you can count on.
A multi-million-dollar deal at Cook Medical in Bloomington is off the table. Cook Medical had planned on selling its reproductive health business to Cooper Companies for $875 million, but the San Francisco area-based company called off the deal. The IBJ reporting the Federal Trade Commission is not saying why Cooper Companies backed out. Cook Group is the parent company of Cook Medical, one of Indiana's largest privately owned companies with more than 10,000 employees. Finally this week, Dillinger robbed his last bank here. If you needed a sewing machine cabinet back in the day, it was likely produced here in South Bend. As we leave you this week, Mary Rachel Redmond with a look at a region in transition, but firmly rooted in its past.
To understand today's South Bend, you have to appreciate its past, one that has Indiana written all over it. Back in the day, carmaker Studebaker set up shop in South Bend, growing into a major player in the automobile industry. Then came a sewing giant. But the University of Notre Dame is what the city is best known for, the main thread weaving through the fabric of South Bend. Its past, present, and future. Notre Dame's presence in the region contributes in a big way. The university, the largest employer in South Bend.
Now the shine of the golden helmets as they come out of the tunnel.
Football still top dog, bringing in millions each season. The downtown, it's undergoing historic growth. Investments expected to top $1 billion by the end of the year. That old Studebaker building, it's evolved into a mixed-use tech hub. Singer Sewing, long gone. Companies like military vehicle manufacturer AM General now ruling the roost. Indiana's fourth largest city, situated along the St. Joseph River, just 5 miles from the Michigan border, growing, thriving, and leaning on its rich past to march forward.